What's up, everybody? Welcome back to TEW 2020. We are in week 2, March 1997, and let's see what will happen. We start as usual with Monday Nitro, a live program by World Championship Wrestling. Then we will have a taped Raw. We will probably have a pay-per-view this week, I'm not sure. Hulk Hogan New Horizons. Hulk Hogan, fuck the Hulk Hogan. Recently mentioned in an interview that he hopes to wrestle in more foreign places as his career progresses. The WCW star is said to be more than interested at the prospect of working for companies. He can go back to Japan. He actually did some decent matches back there, I heard. Proof that he could do more than he showed in the US. Anyway, what did he do on Monday Nitro? Was he even on Monday Nitro? We have an 81 rating in front of over 11,000 people. Sting called Ric Flair out, but ended up on the wrong end of a beating. Scott Hall called Randy Savage out, but ended up on the wrong end of a beating. The Booty Man defeated Alex Ryder backstage segment with the DDP. Interview with Kevin Nash. Dean Malenko defeated Cobra. John Tenta and Pitch Black defeated Earl, Robert Eaton, and the Sharpshooters. Backstage segment with Booker T. Backstage segment with Jimmy Hart. Kevin Nash defeated Joey Max. Interview with Lex Luger. Backstage segment with Scott Steiner. Randy Savage defeated the Ultimate Dragon. The Dungeon of Doom, The Giant and Kevin Sullivan defeated Lex Luger and Jim Duggan, and Sting defeated Meng. Hulk Hogan was not on this show. Strange main event, but probably good match. I love Meng, and probably had a good match with Sting. Raw was broadcast. The taping from last week got a 2.67 TV rating. I need to see Monday Nitro had a 2.97 TV rating. ECW was shown, 0.01 TV rating. Ultimate Dragon is injured. He will be out for a few weeks. Steve Armstrong looks abroad. Paul Orndorff signed an extension with WCW. The Patriot is staying in All Japan Pro Wrestling. People joined this company by Matt Hardy. I still haven't done some research whether that company really existed, but it seems so. Don Harris joins Omega. Samu joins them. Brian Clark signs them. So that's a new company on the horizon that will be interesting. They signed Steve Corino, Bobby Knight, Lanny Poffo, Steve Hudson, and Ken Resnick. When new companies get added to the mix, everything gets even more interesting. Wondering whether the game will create some companies. And Ron Killings. Why does he not have a photo? I've heard of that guy before. He signed a contract with Omega. WCW wants to extend the contract of Kenny Chaos. This is interesting. New company signing people. Yeah, that would be more interesting if the game keeps adding new companies. This one's run by the Hardy Boys, the young Hardy Boys. So Monday Night Raw, 81 rating, almost 10,000 people. Mankind and Goldust got into a backstage brawl. Psycho Sid attacked Steve Austin via the crowd. Mankind defeated Rocky Maivia. I've heard of that matchup before. Backstage segment with the James E. Cornette. Interview with Bret Hart. At least this interview gets a very good rating, even though everyone with the 70 rating is pretty good. Steve Austin defeated Mark Henry. Farouk and the Smoking Guns defeated Rey Mysterio and the Dogs of War. And a very good main event. The Partisans, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, defeated Team Smash Mouth via disqualification. And remember, these are the British Bulldog and Vader. I always need to remind myself. Probably one hell of a match. Then I don't care about Japan's new team. Ron Harris, Bobby Fulton, and Brett Armstrong, and Hire Van Hammer, and Chaz Warrington. That's Marsh. And Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy also joined Omega. Handshake deal. So they sign veterans, young people. And we are in 1997. They sign one of the headbangers. The Hardy Boys are there. A handful of veterans. Will they have shows? Do they have TV? North Carolina. You should probably draw some people in North Carolina. So then we have WCW Saturday Night 60 rating, almost over 3,000 people. Pat Tanaka defeats Sergeant Craig Pittman. backstage segment with DDP, backstage segment with Eddie Guerrero, Greg Valentine and the James Boys defeated Rocco Rock and Heavy Duty. Conan defeated the Renegade, the Nasty Boys defeated Rough and Ready. It's a storyline with Funaki and Taka Michinoku. This is all going into Japan. WCW extends the deal with Kenny Chaos. Too Cold Scorpio won a WWC television title. Vader stay with WWF. They want to resign him or extend his contract. We have WWF Superstars, over 3,000 people, 61 show rating. Road Dogg defeated Alex Porto via countout. 4 backstage segments in a row. Rey Mysterio Jr., Gorilla Monsoon, Jim Cornette, and Mr. Perfect. Jake Roberts defeated The Goon by countout. The New Rockers defeated the Chaos Connection. Savio Vega and Team Slaughter defeated the Warlord and the Devil Machines. Then we see nothing of interest. That's a nice mustache and fake blonde hair combination, Mr. Goto. Then we... Scott D'Amore is frustrated. Nothing interesting going on. Mexican wrestling I really don't give a shit about. I would watch wrestling from anywhere else rather than Mexican wrestling. So Hardcore TV, 70 rating, 500 people. It's a taping, but only for 1 episode. Still not really understanding what's going on with ECW, when their new deal will start. Yeah, probably, because here it mentions this will be shown on a lot of different networks. Will that be their debut, maybe? Will they tape only 1 show and show it the next week? Seems so. We have an angle video recap: the Too Cold Scorpio versus Sabu rivalry. Video covered the feud between Arn Anderson and Tommy Dreamer. Mikey Ripwreck and Supernova defeated Hack Myers and Choppy Dudley. Interview with Paul Heyman, backstage segment with Bill Alfonso. RVD and the Eliminators defeated Sammy the Silk and Violent Conduct. Stevie Richards defeated Bubba Ray Dudley and Brian Lee to retain the ECW TV title. Sabu and Tommy Dreamer defeated Too Cold Scorpio and Doink the Clown. And the Sandman defeated Arn Anderson to retain the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. Saturday night, WCW got a 0.2 TV rating. Omega had a show, and yeah, I actually only wanted to look at WWF, WCW, and ECW. Yeah, this is interesting. I want to see what they did. They did a show in front of 93 fans. Oh my god. But yeah, everybody has to start small. Omega Bad Obsession. That sounds like a very generic name. If they only do house shows for the beginning. This was not broadcasted. 93 people. Bobby Knight and Marsh defeat the Hardy Boys for the Omega National Tag titles. And they have the Universal title. They take that from WWE. This is randomly generated. Backstage segment with Ron Killings. Interview with Brian Clark. Brian Clark defeated Ron Killings. Tracy Smollett, that's a legend, a veteran, defeated Ron Harris for the Omega #1 Contenders title. They have a #1 Contenders title? Is that a thing? He's the #1 contender. That's a title. Brad Armstrong defeated Bobby Fulton for the Omega Universal Championship. So he's their first champion. First time. Brad Armstrong. Bobby Knight and Marsh. And Tracy Smothers. #1 Contenders champion. They say that's a belt. They have a #1 Contenders belt? It's a secondary level championship. They have a #1 Contenders championship. That's weird. That's strange. I hope the game does not create more titles with like that, like #1 Contender belts. Or has this ever been a thing somewhere? Let me know. Their roster is solid for the beginning. This is a strange title, in my opinion. So, then we end week 2. Let's see what happened on Sunday. No pay-per-view. WWF extends the contract with Vader. Superstars got a 0.23 TV rating. That show is watched more than the WCW secondary program. Yeah, and next time we'll continue. Let's see what Omega does. Take care. Bye-bye.